Okay, it is 6:30 and I'd like to call this meeting of council to order. Acknowledge that the city of Winkler is situated on Treaty 1 land, the home of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples in the homeland of the Métis Nation. We respect the treaties that have been made on these territories, but acknowledge that there have been harms and mistakes in the past, and dedicate ourselves to a future based on respect of all peoples, including Indigenous communities, in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration, moving forward to a harmonious and prosperous future together. Be it resolved that the agenda for the regular council meeting of September 24th, 2024 be adopted. Mover?
Marvin.
Second.
Peter.
Any additions or deletions or changes to the agenda? I will note, Councillor Fraze is not here this evening, was not able to join us, so we'll get to miss out on today's meeting. All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting of September 10th, 2024 be adopted. Mover?
Don Fair.
Second.
Michael.
You see anything in those minutes that deserves comment? All in favor? Carried. Moving then into finance. Be it resolved that accounts payable in the amount of $12,648,871.48 as approved by the Finance Committee be approved for payment. Mover?
Don Friesen.
Second.
Marvin.
As always, the check register is attached. You've had a chance to take a look at it and go through it. All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the minutes for the Finance Committee meeting of September 18th, 2024 be adopted. Mover?
Don Friesen.
Second.
Don Fair.
Any comments on what was discussed there? Minutes are again attached. All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the financial report and statements for August 2024 be received for information. Mover?
Peter.
Second.
Don
Marvin.
Fair.
Marvin just snuck it. Report is attached. Anything there of interest? I noted 94.38% taxes collected, the largest in recent memory anyway, as a percentage of the total. So that's very nice to see. As always, detailed notes all the way through. Our financial team does an excellent job of giving us explanations where things are different or not.
Yeah, I'd echo that comment. It's really good to see.
Not seeing any questions on the financials. All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the Winkler Fire Department August report be received for information. Mover?
Don Fair.
Second.
Michael.
Report is attached. Comments on it, gentlemen?
Well, just especially noticed like this summer, and it's probably not that much different from other summers, but it's like when you hear the sirens go all the time, and it seems like there's always more and more each year. It's so good to know that the fire department is there and our protective services are there to help mitigate any loss or damage that we would have. So they're very, very much appreciated.
Indeed. Good point. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. That takes us to transportation and utilities. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2322-24 be given first reading. Mover?
Marvin.
Don Friesen got it. Marvin got the second. Notes attached. Jody, is there anything particular we need to be aware of?
No, just as noted, it's unfortunate because we've gone through this before, but land titles rejected it because of that issue of the remaining parcels. And so that's why we have to make the adjustments and go through it again.
Okay, fair enough. All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the minutes for the Transportation and Utilities Committee meeting of August 13th, 2024 be adopted. Mover.
Marvin.
Second.
No help.
Thank you. Minutes are attached. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, just a couple of comments. Note that the transportation pilot project is progressing nicely. They've got a lot of meetings held with interested parties and so on, so we're still looking at starting that before the end of the year. Another thing we dealt with a little bit was addressing with, for people that had used the South Lake pathway, they will have noticed that there's some damage that was caused through some of the other work that was done on it, so it's going to be temporarily repaired with the look at doing this total repair later on next year, hopefully. And the EV charger, it's our first EV charger that the city has put up in a public place. It's in place and they're working out a couple of little things, and so it'll be something that people that come watch a hockey game this winter can come with their EV and charge it while they're here. And the good news on our projects, the wastewater treatment plant and the water treatment project, all that is going pretty well on track and on budget. I was informed today that if you want to look, if the public wants to see, on our website there's a projects page. You can see what's going on a little bit more detail if you're interested. Thank you.
Very nice, and good point on the EV charger. People are already using it, so it's nice to see, and we have people plugging in and charging vehicles. Very nice. All in favor?
Doesn't fit my bicycle though.
Supercharge it.
Carried. Be it resolved that council hereby authorize Manitoba Hydro to make the following changes to the street light system in the city of Winkler at Pembina and 3rd Street South. And those are attached there for a net increase of $277.08 per year. Mover.
Michael?
Peter.
Oh, sorry.
Michael got it, Peter got the second.
Second, yep.
This is at 3rd and Pembina. Any questions on what you see?
Just happy to light up the intersection.
Isn't that nice?
That is because of the new crosswalk that's has been installed already, so it's nice to see.
All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the Winkler Stanley Economic Development Corporation minutes for the August 27th and September 17th, 2024 meetings be received for information. Mover.
Don Friesen.
Second.
Michael?
Minutes are attached. Any comments on what you see? All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the MSTW minutes and reports for August 2024 be adopted. Mover?
Don Fair.
Second.
Don Friesen.
Again, attached. Comments?
We've had a very busy season, a very good season. From our last meeting with the general manager, Glenn, you're saying things were starting to slow down for fall, which is expected. And we just put out a advertisement for another job ad for another inspector. So hopefully we get some good candidates for that.
With the work that we're doing with the RPGA area as well. It's certainly the work is there.
Yes.
I also noted with interest that City of Winkler 188 dwelling units year to date at the end of August.
Yep. Yep. That's,
Wow.
good.
It's good to see. Thank you for your work there.
Thank you.
All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the South Central Regional Library minutes for the June 10th, 2024 meeting be received for information. Mover?
Don Fair?
Second.
Peter?
Anything that needs to be noted in those minutes?
No, just as far as, at the last meeting, they were, just saying how great the summer was, that, they had some programs and they had overwhelming, participants to the programs. They're very creative and,
Good.
yep, so it's been good.
Very nice to see. We keep hearing about the imminent death of books, and then to hear that our library is well used and the numbers are going up
Yeah,
because
the numbers
people
are
reading.
phenomenal.
Fantastic.
Yep.
All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the Vet Services Board meeting minutes be received for information. Mover.
Michael?
Second.
Marvin?
Anything there in those minutes we should be aware of, Michael?
There's a couple interesting points from the last meeting. One of them going back to amalgamation, RM of Pembina being a partner with the vet board, but at that time, town of Manitou wasn't. So up until this time, there was no pound access for Manitou residents because of how the bylaws were written up. So they fixed that up, and then on a bigger scale, trying to get some direction from the province with regards to how the vets themselves can partner with the board for some significant renovations to the original clinic in Morden, and how that looks ownership-wise. So, waiting for the province to offer some direction there.
It was interesting to me as I read through those minutes and the greater conversation that you're having with other areas, that the challenges we're feeling here
Yeah.
is consistent throughout the province.
Yeah.
A lack of funding that's current and relevant,
Yeah.
a lack of an ability to get enough veterinarians, those types of challenges. Sometimes we have a tendency maybe to think that those are unique to us, but when we see you meet with other areas, it's the same problem.
Yeah, and hearing from some of the other boards, central, I can't think of the, anyways, the vet board there, whatever the region's called, yeah, are stronger than many of their colleagues there.
Okay. Not seeing anything else, all in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the South Central Manitoba Tourism Financial Report for August 2024 be received for information. Mover?
Michael?
Second.
Peter?
Any comments on those numbers?
It's nice to have some momentum there once again. June Letkeman has been tireless in working this summer, doing pretty much every festival she could make it out to, bring exposure to central Manitoba tourism there, so.
That's very good to see, and to have a positive financial statement as always.
Yes.
All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the minutes for the Community Services Committee meeting of August 27th, 2024 be adopted. Mover?
Peter?
Second.
Don Fair?
Anything of note in those minutes? All very straightforward. All in favor? Carried. That will bring us to our delegations and public hearings this evening. Be it resolved that this regular meeting of council recess for the purpose of holding public hearings. Mover?
Don Fair?
Second.
Marvin?
All in favor? Carried. Jody, if you would lead us through the rules of how we'll conduct ourselves, then we'll get straight into it.
Sure. We have a number of public hearings again today, and as usual, if anyone here would like to speak to one of them, either for or against, We just ask that you step up to the mic and state your name and address. As we do live stream all of these meetings, we want to make sure we capture all of the comments. Address your comments to the chair, and then we can respond from there. We do have a staff member here to help answer some questions on some of the technical ones. That's
Excellent.
Stephanie Jantz. She's our manager of planning and permitting.
Okay, thank you, Jody. That takes us to public hearing for conditional use number CU 2024-011 at 201 Pembina Avenue East.
Okay, the applicant and owner here is Pembina Valley Baptist Church. The location is 201 Pembina East. And the request here for the conditional use is in order to use the existing single-unit dwelling as a dormitory, which falls under the use classification private education service. So that is allowed in that zone as a conditional use. And that is the current zoning with R1. So as far as this application goes, we have not received objections to the application.
Thank you, Jody. Is there anyone here wishing to speak to this hearing or this issue? If you would, please come to the microphone and introduce yourself as noted.
I'm Mike Sullivan. I pastor the Baptist Church, and we've owned that house since, I think, 2006. We've been using it for that purpose, and I guess we didn't realize the zoning was an issue. And we have 4 young men in there right now. So,
Excellent.
that's okay.
I appreciate it. Anyone else wishing to speak for this application? Is there anyone here wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Council have any questions, thoughts, comments?
Question is, are the boys behaving? And we're all good?
Off the record.
Be it resolved that the public hearing for conditional use application number CU 2024-011 be closed. Mover.
Marvin?
Second.
Peter?
All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that council approve conditional use number CU 2024-011, subject to reapproval of the conditional use with any future proposed expansion to the home or redevelopment. Mover.
Don Fair?
Second.
Don Friesen?
Final thoughts or comments? All in favor? Carried. That is passed, Pastor Sullivan, and I would thank you as well for being prepared to help these young men in their journey towards wherever they're headed, but in the right direction. Thank you. Moving forward then to public hearing for variance number VA 2024-023 at 156 North Railway.
Yes, this is a variance application. The applicant is Lux Inc. on behalf of the owner, 211-7983 Manitoba Limited. Address is 156 North Railway Avenue. The variance requested here is to increase the maximum driveway width, excuse me, from 39.4 feet to 348.3 feet in the CG zone. And the purpose here is in order to accommodate parking perpendicular to the street in front of the existing building proposed to be redeveloped as a retail store. We have not received any objections to this application. There is a lengthy report to council that is attached. I would mention that just this afternoon, this report was sent to the applicant as well. And so that has a lot of the information that made up the recommendation from staff.
Okay, thank you very much, Jody. Is there anyone here wishing to speak to this application?
Yeah.
Oh, he's coming.
Yeah. You're up, John.
So what's the?
I'll ask you-
I get to speak and then
And I'll ask you to come to the microphone, John, but yes, you have an opportunity to speak to it. Anybody who is opposed has an opportunity to speak to it. And certainly if you want to bring some comments afterwards, you would be welcome to do so.
Yeah, this application is for,
I'll ask John, because we have each one of our meetings online as well, if you would state your name
Okay.
for the record as well, please.
John Frace
Thank you.
with Parkland Place. We made application for extending a driveway on North Railway. This application came as we've been talking with city staff, council about this project since July of last year. We submitted a drawing to Scott in August of last year that shows the width of the driveway that we would like to see. Since then, we have been working with staff, and we did meet with council, planning committee in August. And then we were asked to make a submission for the a wider access. As you know, North Railway was rebuilt this year. Our business that we had did not have access to the site for a number of months. We had access off of Main Street, and I think in the report it talks about Main Street as an access. I kind of doubt if I'll be able to keep that access. We had discussions during the construction period about when the curbing would go in, if we could get curb cuts put in. We talked and discussed with the city staff about where the access could go. We had 5 accesses before the road was built. After it was built, and when we talked about curb cuts, staff is telling us that we only get 2. These are some of the contexts that we're at. We made the application, and we hope council will approve it.
Okay, thank you, John. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak for this project? Is there anyone here who would wish to speak with concern or against this project?
Good evening. I'm Marlon Cool, Southern Potato. I'd be a neighbor across the road to this project. While the city's aware we have a long-term relocation plan to be off of North Railway, we do need to continue to operate there for the foreseeable future, and we run about 4,000 semi-trucks a year down that street. So there's a lot of semi-traffic, and I guess our biggest concern would be the way that the parking is proposed, where they would be backing directly onto the street, and we just see that as a big potential for a lot of accidents to happen. So the other concern, which I think could probably be addressed, would be, and the planning committee noted it in their report, would be drainage. I think that the drainage on that street is going to be significantly better now with the plans that are made there, and I'm sure with engineering that would work. But yeah, just because of the safety hazards, we would be opposed to this plan.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else here wishing to speak? It looks like you'd like to respond, John. By all means, feel free.
I certainly do. I imagine the road's been pretty safe this last year, as we haven't had any access to our property. The first access we got was last week. We were gonna move the hopper bins off the site. And with the curb on it, you know, the hopper bin trailers are low. And we hadn't been able to take them off. We had promised to get them off there before the end of the month. So on Thursday, we did get a curb cut. First time we get access from the North Railway. We did get the bins moved off. There's a second curb cut that has been made on the west end. But curb cut leads to nowhere. There is no access there. We have a business that's existing there. If we don't use the Main Street access, we have to go across the industrial curb with the vehicles, with cars, to get onto the site. And then today we did get, actually last night, I think it was yesterday, you get email from Stephanie that they would be recommending not to approve it. Today, we had a meeting with Jody, and it was a very good meeting. It's thankful for doing that. But I did get a know that asked him for a report to council, and so I did get the report. And I think we'll take some time to go through that report. And I don't know, maybe Stephanie wants to go through it with us. I'm not sure. Page 1 has the secondary plan, the zoning, the subdivision, conditional use, and also talks about the variance set we applied for. Substantial, 348 feet, which includes the flares on the curbs.
Yeah.
Then we go into the road infrastructure. North Royal Avenue between Main Street and Highway 32 was reconstructed by the City of Winkler using industrial asphalt standard. The city made attempts to contact the developer prior to curb paving to enable a drop in curbs at desired driveways. However, driveway permits have not yet been submitted for city approval. There was low confidence the curb drop location and width. The curb issue was a sticking point with us. City staff asked us if we could get our engineer to go and mark the areas where we'd like the driveways. And so, in short order, we did get our engineers out there to stake the curbs. Just prior to that, got a call from city staff saying that they'd be starting to curb in a couple of days. And so that's why they wanted these driveways marked. This was in the morning. By 10 o'clock I went to the site because we talked to the engineer to try and get them there. The curbing machine had already been past the first access that we would have liked. We talked to Messedin about that, if there'd be possibility to drop the curbs in the area, and he said, well, they'd just put a different form on there, and then that could happen. We kept on chatting with the city on that, and they kept right on going right till they, basically to where we would like our curb cut to go. They stopped off there and continued on the west side of the building. I thought, great, they're gonna lower the curb for us in areas. The next day, the curb was poured and no access for us. Accordingly, the city contractor was instructed to continue through the curb for the length of the property and work on establishing lower curb drops. This was considered a safer and less expensive option for the city and developer. Not sure how that would be cheaper for us. Would be for the city. As potential rework for a misplaced curb is more costly to change and repair later. Timing of construction and lack of clear information prior to the stage in the project led to this misunderstanding. And as I said, it was got last Thursday, got our first access, where previously we had 5. And this was done a while ago. Another note.
With regard to curb cuts, though I think in discussion with council and staff when you presented the concern, I think we did reiterate that the city would, at our cost, make sure that you were made whole with regard to access points, right? Or
and
you
that's
don't,
what I was
or you
looking,
don't feel that right
I
now.
was looking for the emails that I had printed off, and I must have misplaced them.
Okay.
I know I had an email from Tim where it talked about the city was going to replace 2 accesses. And I told him that's unacceptable. We had 5.
Okay.
I don't think that's how the city operates.
No,
And
definitely
I
not.
don't think that's how they treat their businesses. In order to connect Main Street and 32 with an uninterrupted pedestrian corridor, additional walkway connections will be required to tie into existing walkways, which will come in at additional costs, including approval for new pedestrian rail crossings at Main Street and west side, on Highway 32 west side. When I read this report, it says, oh, I hadn't heard that there was going to be a sidewalk coming on our side. And I was wondering, where is that sidewalk going to go? From the edge of the curb, it drops down to the ditch. The other side of this ditch is on our property, from the middle of the ditch. So half the ditch is on our property. And it's actually gone further on, moved further after this road construction.
And you
So
saw,
where's the sidewalk gonna go?
you saw that for the first time when you saw this report, is that right?
Yeah,
This is a fairly detailed report. I'm wondering if it makes sense for us to recess this meeting for a period of time so that you have an opportunity to discuss some of this with staff. I think council may be ill-equipped to make on the fly a comment or a decision on something as significant as that. Assuming that I get a mover on that, John, do you think that it makes some sense to do so?
it probably does, but how long has it been?
And it's been a long time going, absolutely. And I think we would want to answer these together with you fairly quickly.
Yeah. What is the normal protocol? When your city does a report on a public hearing like this, does it get distributed to everybody all involved, or how does that work?
And Jody, I would ask for your help to explain the protocol. My understanding is that that report is shared.
Yes,
with
normally it
everyone.
is, and in this case, we did have people working this weekend to finalize it, so we definitely didn't get it out in the timely manner that we would normally like to.
Okay. Yeah, it's just to get this last minute. I was trying to go through this
Well,
this
it's tough to
afternoon
do.
because I got it this afternoon, so it's
Agreed.
trying to get through the whole thing.
In order to have the time to do that properly, John, is that 2 weeks or is that a month that we should give this time for to try to answer this and connect with our staff?
I wouldn't want it more than 2 weeks because we need to get these driveways in. The winter's coming. If we want to get some access to our building,
We're gonna have to hurry
how are
up.
we going to do that? Like,
Okay.
it's hurting our business. You know, taking extra precaution, and if we hadn't taken out that rail, there would have no access to the building.
Right.
All the Mustang trucks, their equipment, drove around the back of our building to get to the site. And just, I did talk to Marlon, and I take his concerns for safety,
Absolutely.
and we did decide that we would get together and see what kind of a solution we could come up with. Safety is an issue. It has been an issue.
Right.
It's not just that this is creating a safety issue. It has been there.
Right.
Canadian Lumber, or now McMahon and Yates, they get to access off of the street and do their parking. South Railway has a number of places, which probably has more traffic than North Railway does.
And I think those pieces will probably end up back at our table in 2 weeks from now. But I would ask if somebody is prepared to make a motion to recess for 2
Sorry,
weeks.
I'll make that motion.
Before you do that,
Hang on.
I have to back up. I will
Yes.
be away for a little over 2 weeks. So maybe a month might be better.
I appreciate that. So I have a motion
For
from
a
Don
month,
Fair, a
yep.
second
Are
from,
we good with that?
Pardon me?
Are we good with the month? Like, I'm just,
I'll ask,
I know, and I appreciate your comments on it, you're beginning to be gone, but whatever winter is.
Yeah.
is-
Richard Dick,
Please.
Lux. So we do have a potential tenant that does want to move in there, and it is contingent on having this access. And so time is, he needs to get in there sooner than later. So maybe 2 weeks. So,
Okay, whatever.
yeah, we do have-
and I would ask, it's important that, You have an opportunity to review the report. It's important that you have an opportunity to discuss with staff to maybe alleviate concerns that there might be. And rather than a several-page list of concerns, it can hopefully be mitigated to a large degree. But you do need the time to be able to do so, and I think that's only fair.
I can zoom in.
Yeah, we can do virtual.
Okay,
That's good.
so I have a motion from Don, a second from Marv to recess for 2 weeks to give the proponents an opportunity to meet with staff to discuss the concerns mentioned in the report to council. Are we all in favor?
I think so.
Carried. Okay. That brings us to a delegation for appeal for 110 15th Street for the development agreement that was there. Jody.
1 second.
Yeah, we moved away down
Yep.
the agenda there fairly quickly.
Yeah, so this is an appeal that is allowed within the Planning Act. When the city signs a development agreement with someone, there's an allowance in the Planning Act for the owner to appeal conditions of that development agreement to council. And so what we have here is an appeal to this development agreement with 5615195 Manitoba Limited. And you can see in the notes to council that it is condition number 4 under Part A of the development agreement. And that has to do with the requirement to restore the boulevard to grass. And the applicant is asking for that condition to be lifted. And the intent, as I believe, is to use it for loading purposes. So there is a report along with the notes to council with some of the background information there.
Okay. Thank you very much for that, Jody. And I will ask if there's anyone here wishing to speak to that appeal. We know where that is, but I'm wondering if, Jeff, you're wanting to speak specifically to it. I'll ask you to come to the microphone, state your name, and go from there.
Okay, my name is Jeff Hildebrandt. I'm the owner of Iceberg Drive-In. I'm here today to request permission to continue to use the boulevard on Pembina Avenue at the south side of the parking lot. Currently, it is used as a loading zone for deliveries from our suppliers. And also, we have parallel parking there for the owners, myself and others, for unloading products that we shop for locally. The reason I'm here is that after being ignored twice to meet on site and discuss my request, the city's planning department denied my request with the following reason. It states, due to the traffic impacts and safety concerns associated with the use of this area for parking and loading activities, this request has been denied. It is my opinion that the decision that was made, it was made without proper due diligence, and that the reasons stated are actually the reasons why I should have continued use of the boulevard. Firstly, it is a safety concern if we are parked on the shoulder of the street when we are unloading our vehicles with traffic going by. And secondly, by allowing us to park on the boulevard and not on the shoulder, it allows for a better field of vision for our drivers who are exiting our drive-through, which is also a reason that my yard sign actually on Iceberg was told to be moved further onto my yard so that traffic on 15th Street could see better when they're at the stop sign. If granted to use, I would ask if we could put signs on that area stating staff parking only and loading zone. We would continue to have parallel parking so nobody backs out onto the street. Also, we would continue to maintain the area, plus there's an added tax benefit for the city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there anyone here further wishing to speak to this? Or speaking in opposition to this? Council, do you have any questions or thoughts?
So on the report to council, there's this picture, there's this white car. Is that the area that we are talking about?
Yes. Let me just pull that up.
Like it's quite far down the street there, past the driveway, correct?
Correct.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, that's right.
That's not parallel parked, that's angle parked.
Yeah.
There's another picture there with double parking, parallel parking.
Okay, yeah.
Like
but
you're
that's the
talking about
space.
this one here,
That's
right?
the
Yes,
space.
that is the space.
That's the space you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the reason I wanted the sign.
I'll ask if you're going to speak. Jeff, that you please come back to the microphone.
Okay, so the picture you see there, that's happens at times when we are not on site working, which is usually the afternoons, because we're there during meal times all the time. Then on busy days, we do get that happening, which people park crazy all over the place whenever they can't find a space, they park however. Which is why I recommended putting up no parking signs, staff parking only, loading zone. Then we could avoid some of that happening. And then the double parking like that, it also happens during peak times as well too. So my point to that is that if we were to park, if we had the boulevard put in there, we would always have people parked on the street where that truck is parked, instead of just some of the time. And then they would have parallel parking up against the sidewalk is where we, as owners, we always park. So it would be just a sometimes thing instead of an all the time thing. So that would be a little more difficult to police.
Stephanie, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know that our bylaw, our current parking bylaw allows parking on the north side of that stretch of Pembina. Do we know that?
In the email I received, it said there was.
It said there was?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Stephanie confirmed that she believes as well that that is allowed.
It is allowed on both sides.
Now, how close to the intersection is that one? It's hard to see from the picture. Do we have guidelines in terms of how far from from a corner intersection parking is allowed, like if there's parallel parking on streets?
I'll ask Stephanie if you're going to answer, that you come to the microphone.
So where the parking is shown here is far enough away from the intersection to not pose concerns, at least of the opinion of our planning and engineering department. Although the truck there, you can see reasonably where the sidewalk, where the stop sign is, you know, it could pose a safety sightline concern. That's something we would have to investigate by doing a site visit. Yeah.
Thank you. Additional questions of council?
Any thoughts of hard surfacing that area?
If I could use it, I would.
I'll ask again, Jeff, please.
If I would be allowed to use it, I wouldn't be opposed to hard servicing it. That would actually be quite nice. There is a manhole there though, so we'd have to work around that.
That would keep some of the gravel from spilling onto the sidewalk
Correct.
as well, right?
Yeah.
So what are you proposing, Jeff, to parallel park there or
Parallel.
like where you would park your vehicle?
That, for the vehicles you see there, there's that light blue.
Yeah,
Those, we would parallel park there, those two vehicles, not the truck on the left. That is
Right.
something that happens when my parking lot is
so is
completely
that
full.
blue vehicle there, that would be all along there that they would park like that?
There would be two vehicles, there's room for two vehicles there.
Oh, okay, and then your drive-through, where your drive-through ends?
My drive-through exit is just on this side of that blue vehicle. See
Oh, yeah.
yeah, the two windows are there is where the people
Yeah.
drive through.
Oh, yeah.
And then they exit through there. See, my
Right.
concern is that people exiting my drive-through when they're looking west down Pembina, they have a very poor line of sight. If we
Right.
were always parked on the
If they would,
shoulder,
yeah, if they would angle park, then that would be,
that, we wouldn't.
then, no, that would be more of a safety hazard.
Right, yeah, and also backing onto the street.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
And staff and loading zone only.
Correct, that's where the signs would come in, yeah.
How big
Additional thoughts?
Just a comment on that, I'm not sure we could offer, if you decide to uphold this appeal, that we could offer for it to be staff only, like it is public. So it's difficult when we have a
Could-
public spot to say, limit who can
Yeah.
park on a
So
public
could
spot.
you could call it a loading zone.
Correct,
Yeah, how big a truck comes in there?
full semi. It takes
Yes,
up the
when
whole,
Cisco comes in or.
yeah, it takes up the, it's actually the right size for a semi to park in there.
Does he pull in parallel or does he back in?
No, he pulls parallel on the shoulder there.
Okay, it's not
Yeah.
like he interrupts the traffic.
No, there's, what is it, there is 58 feet there on the shoulder. So there's enough room for him to pull in.
So he faces east to unload.
It depends on the driver.
Okay. It's fair.
If that was getting landscaped, then your loading truck would be kind of where the half-ton is in that picture?
Correct.
Or it would have to, yeah,
Or
Put
on
onto
the
the
yard or
parking lot.
something,
yeah.
On the yard wouldn't work.
because there's no space.
It doesn't work for him to pull into there. Again, my loading, door is at the back of the building, right in the corner there too, so it makes sense to unload there.
It would be like the golf course used to be, a restaurant, they'd park in the middle of the street and unload,
Right.
which is awful.
This is one of the challenges that we run into when we repurpose buildings. It's really nice to be able to do, but it creates challenges that need to be answered. And I understand the reason that we're here. When you worked on this project, you made the decision to enter into a development agreement with the city of Winkler that had stipulations in it, and one of those stipulations was this. Today, we're in a place that we're saying, that you're saying, that's fulfilling the development agreement might be worse than not fulfilling it, is what your suggestion is.
In this one instance, yeah. But as you go, typically when you go through projects, sometimes things come up that you may not have seen when you were planning it, and this would be one of them. So as you're going through it, you're like, this would actually be very convenient to have, and actually a much better setup.
Makes sense.
Yeah, Councillor Platt was wondering, that spot that you're seeing right there, Marvin, the grass, that would stay grass. That's the piece that you're referencing here.
Yeah. Okay, so that would be west of your
Yeah,
drive-through.
that grass would stay there, yeah.
So there's lots of space from there to the corner.
Yeah.
Like, for sightlines, there's lots.
Yeah, no, it was
We have
just,
other incidents in town where there's way less than that, that's for sure.
okay, I was wondering if that was the 15th Street, so that's not, that's the driveway.
That street,
That's correct.
that is my drive-through
Yeah,
driveway,
okay.
yeah.
And I was looking at it as being 15th Street.
Oh,
so-
right, no,
So that seemed close, but so,
Mhm.
yeah, because there's that small boulevard piece there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right,
Okay, thank you, appreciate
yeah,
that.
no problem.
Looks like you cut the contractor off too quick too. You didn't finish right to 15th Street with the sidewalk.
I fulfilled my obligation.
I see that.
Do we have further thoughts or questions, or are we prepared to make a decision? I don't see any further thoughts or questions. Jody, would you like me to read the whereases in as well?
That's totally up to you,
I think potentially on this one, let's make sure we do that.
and in the shared notes, you see the,
Yes, I do.
okay,
Whereas an appeal was filed by 5615195 Manitoba Limited under section 151-0-2 brackets 1 of the Planning Act regarding the City of Winkler's decision to require the developer to landscape, seed, and restore the Pembina Avenue East Boulevard to city standards pursuant to condition number 4, Part A of the development agreement between the City of Winkler and 5615195 Manitoba Limited, signed May 23rd, 23. And whereas the appeal was reviewed by Council of the City of Winkler on September 24th, 2024, in accordance with the provision of the Planning Act. Therefore,
I think Henry, yeah, sorry, yep, you got it.
be it resolved that the appeal of 5615195 Manitoba Limited concerning the landscaping and restoration requirements in the development agreement between the City of Winkler and 5615195 Manitoba Limited be upheld, and the development agreement be amended to remove condition number 4, Part A. Mover.
Non-freezing.
Second.
Michael?
So just for clarity, as the resolution was read, if you vote yes for this resolution, then you're upholding the application, and the previous requirement, or the development agreement would be amended to remove that condition.
So that we still have a full development agreement with that exception.
Correct. If you vote no, then obviously it's denied.
Then the appeal would be denied.
Yep.
Okay.
I would just like to add further to the hard surfacing then, if that would be for me a condition to agree with this.
I'll ask again, please. Thank you.
I would just ask hard surfacing up to what point? The boulevard section or up to the street?
Well, whatever the truck is gonna need to be driving on, because that'll be become a loading dock, right?
Correct. Yeah, so right up to the street you're talking there? Because sometimes they park closer, sometimes it, yeah.
I'll
the
let
drive.
you hammer that out with the staff.
And I was just going to say, with
Right.
that piece to be dealt with our staff, to make sure that the best end result is achieved.
They can make the best decision on that.
Okay.
And I'll give Stephanie a point, she'd like to have a comment. And I'll ask you also to come to the microphone.
Sorry, just a point of clarification. So would this be a private encroachment that we're contemplating? That there,
Correct.
yes, so, okay.
And that is, at that point in time, he will also need to consider what tax ramifications he has that need to be dealt with.
And the expectation would be that if the paving were required, that would be an owner expense?
Correct.
Okay.
That would be correct, Peter?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Any other thoughts or comments?
And for clarity, then, we are voting on the proposed resolution with the condition to be negotiated with staff on the hard surfacing.
Correct. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you, Jeff. That then takes us to public hearing for bylaw number 2325-24, special services levy. Jody?
So maybe I'll just go over some of the information that we provided to council in regards to this bylaw. These are special service levies that have been in place with the city of Winkler since 2013. And one is for fire and police protection, one is for transportation services. We have a public hearing for each of those, as we're required to hold separate public hearings for each of them. The initial bylaws were covering from the years 2013 to 18, and were followed by updated bylaws for 2019 to 24. And the third proposed bylaws now, which will cover from 2025 to 2030, are what we're considering at this council meeting. And these are special service levies that the reason we're here updating them is because over time, as the budget needs change, we have to account for the higher cost to provide these services. And that's why you see in the bylaws an amount that is up to. That's not the amount we would immediately have to charge. That will be dependent on the budget process set by council each year. This just gives us a maximum. Should we ever go over that maximum, that would just mean the balance that we require for those services would have to come from the general municipal rate.
Okay.
And in terms of these applications, we do have 2 objection letters, one which I received late this afternoon. The first one was originally included in your package, and that is from Garden Valley School Division. The second one was just attached just prior to this meeting. In between our committee meetings and this meeting, I found this letter on my desk. So it is from the Garden Valley Teachers Association. And if you read the objection from the Garden Valley School Division, this is very similar to that objection. So if you want me to read part of that or the conclusion of that, I can certainly do that.
I'd love for you to read the conclusion of it, if you would, Jody.
Yeah. So this is on page 2 of the letter from Garden Valley Teachers Association. And it says, in summation, we assert that the city is misapplying the local improvement concept in its special service levies for police and fire protection, highway maintenance, street lighting, and snow removal. The resulting financial strain diverts funds from essential educational services, creating a detrimental impact on our students in Winkler and surrounding areas. While we acknowledge that Winkler schools benefit from these services, the law mandates that they should be funded through regular municipal taxes. Education taxes should solely support educational services, ensuring that our children receive the resources they need to thrive. In response to that,
I was just going to ask,
Okay.
have we had a chance to look into that? Is that concern valid?
David Martins, who's not able to be here today, is our Director of Corporate Services, and he did investigate this with the province. We certainly do have the right to do this as a special service levy, and we've been doing it since 2013. When we look at some of the objections and also the objection from Garden Valley School Division is that this, to some degree, this money has to come from local taxpayers. Either way, either they have to raise their rates or we have to raise their rates. When we look at this from a city perspective, we see that the province has, as you know, in the last few years, been removing some of the education portion from property taxes, and there's been some discussions that they may be completely removed. If that happens, then what we're doing is putting the full burden of this onto local taxpayers. As we all know, education is a provincial jurisdiction.
Correct.
And here at the City of Winkler, we believe that as a provincial jurisdiction, they should fully fund the services that are required. And if we were to do this not by special service levy, then in the future, when those taxes are removed, then the province wouldn't have to contribute to those services here. So we believe it's the more fair way to handle these things. And just so that everyone understands, in the regular general municipal tax, institutions are exempt. And so when we apply a special service levy, those institutions are no longer exempt and they contribute to those services.
So in effect, it spreads it over absolutely user group, every user group.
That's right.
In the city of Winkler at that point.
That's right. And while we recognize that, you know, the concern from the school division is maximizing funds to students, and we agree with that. And then that's where we agree that the province should step in and cover those.
Okay, thank you for that explanation, Jody. Is there anyone here wishing to speak to this, either for or against? I'm not seeing a mad rush to the microphone. Council have any thoughts before we close hearing?
Well, I think just to reiterate what you were saying, when council initially, a number of years ago, decided to go this way with some of these services, we were looking at it exactly from that point of view, that some of these services are important for everybody, and so it's fair to distribute it evenly. So that's I think why we're here. So
Okay, not seeing anything else, be it resolved, the public hearing for bylaw number 2325-24 be closed. Mover,
Don Fair?
second.
Marvin?
All in favor? Carried. Therefore, be it resolved that bylaw number 2325-24, being a bylaw to authorize special service plan number 47, to establish a rate for highway maintenance, street lighting services, and snow removal services within the city of Winkler, be read a first time and submitted to the Manitoba Municipal Board for approval. Mover,
Peter.
second.
Michael?
Final comments? All in favor? Carried. That takes us to our second public hearing, bylaw number 2326-24, special services levy for police and fire. Again, we have the same two objections written provided to us. Wondering if there's anybody in chambers who would like to speak to this? Not seeing anyone. Council? Nothing there. Be it resolved that public hearing for bylaw number 2326-24 be closed. Mover.
Michael?
Michael got it, Don Friesen got the second. Comments? All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2326-24, being a bylaw to authorize special service plan number 48, to establish a rate for fire protection services and police protection services within the city of Winkler limits, be read a first time and submitted to the municipal board for approval. Mover?
Marvin?
Fair?
Marvin got it, Don Fair got the second. Comments? All in favor? And that is carried. That takes us to the end of our hearings, and be it resolved that public hearings be adjourned and regular council reconvene. Mover?
Peter.
Second.
Michael?
All in favor? Carried. I see no additions. I see no other business. Is there any questions from media or public relevant to this meeting of council? Nobody in chambers? Nobody online from what we can see? Be it resolved that this regular meeting of council be adjourned. Mover?
Don Friesen?
Don Friesen, second.
I'll help you out.
Don Fair. All in favor?